You are now tuned in to Musket Men Sports Talk with Jeremy Thomas and Jordan Spurlock. Brought to you by Caldwell Insurance Agency. Need home, auto, commercial, or life insurance? Give them a call today. 681-265-3735. Let's start the show.
All right, guys, we are here. It's been a while, but we are back. Excited to be back. We have a very special guest with us today. We have Coach Carpenter, former coach at Capitol High School. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
Obviously, the million-dollar question, everything going on. What have you been into since your time at Capitol?
Riding. I got 2 motorcycles. I got 2 4-wheelers and a side-by-side.
Okay.
And a mountain bike.
Okay.
And a mountain bike.
I just got one of those electric, the pedal assist.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That should be the most fun.
Coach, obviously, there's a lot going on in the Valley right now with transfers. What is your thought on kids transferring schools?
I think it's America. I think in 9th grade, I think you ought to be allowed to go wherever you want to go. I think I see it both ways. It's a two-way street.
Right.
You have an obligation to have a program that makes kids want to stay. I see that part of it. The new stuff where you're allowed to pack up and move. I think that's bad. I just can't see that. I don't know. That just blows me away. Anybody think that's good?
That's what me and Jordan, we've talked about it a lot too, is the biggest issue is you got a kid that is playing at whatever school and they're like, well, we're not winning here. Let me just transfer to somebody that's winning. And I couldn't imagine. I know me and Jordan were in high school at the same time back in the early 2000s. And the biggest thing was I went to South Charleston. We hated Capitol. We hated GW. We didn't want to go play for those schools. And he went to GW and he wouldn't want to come play for South Charleston.
Yeah. What it does is, you just have coaches have no guarantee that they're going to be able to build a program.
What do you mean by that?
You have a losing season and your best player transfers. Well, then, you're an entire starting offense.
Yeah, that's definitely the issue. And, we've seen it a lot where one kid transfers and it just starts the snowball effect.
I used to tell those kids, when I was growing up, Cabin Creek, all the coal miners go on vacation at the same time. And I had an uncle lived in Florida. And all spring, I thought I was so much better than all my friends. They're all going to Myrtle Beach. Well, it's trash, And then you get down there that summer and you look around, and my buddies are here, and you get back and all the stories you hear about them having fun at Myrtle Beach. And I'm sitting next to some weirdo I'll never see again in my life. And that's the way high school is,
Right.
I hear a lot of these kids talking about how great they're, I just think it breaks down your community, it breaks down all your friend groups. Like I said, I agree. You got to go where you went to in 9th grade.
And that's the thing too. And obviously the biggest issue right now is you got everybody transferring to build these super teams. And you see a couple teams like that.
Hold on. That's where I fall off the wagon. Explain to me one of these super teams.
When you have your best players from.
I'm saying, where are these super teams?
Where are they? I'd say there's one down in Cabell County.
Who's that?
Would be Huntington High School.
Oh, I thought a lot of theirs from other places.
A lot of theirs, and then obviously you have Hurricane, who has a lot of transfers that came in this year.
And that's a super team.
I wouldn't call it a super team. They are a top team right now, but I'd say when you have a lot of transfers in from other schools, it definitely builds that team up.
Oh, yeah.
But Coach, when you're with your time at Capitol, what was one of your best memories while coaching at Capitol?
That was going. I was telling you a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites. We're on the bus leaving university. And the bus driver about takes us the Mon River.
Mm-hmm.
We're live on the radio. I said, "Oh shit, we're going in there." That was true. Like we were down there, I could see like a Scooby-Doo show. The all rolled. We're rolling in. I thought it was like Barney at first.
Right.
It was a train. And I said, "Oh crap, that's a barge." And I said, "Now we're gonna hit the river." Oh, the guy says, "Coach, you're live." And I was like, well, "I won't be there long. Get this van or bus stop." That was one of my favorites. That's what I mean. Like it's all, yeah, we won a lot of games, but if you had to ask me for my top 10 memories, it's probably not like winning state championship. Pretty cool.
Right.
But it's the relationships, and the crazy stories. I mean,
are you still in contact with a lot of your players that you coached?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah. But I mean, if I had to, I can't tell you my record. I can't tell you
Right.
anything like that. Yeah. But it's really cool. The first coaching clinic I went to, I heard Steve Spurrier, he wrote that. He says, he asked the question, he says, "How do you know you're a good coach?" He's got winning national championship. He said, "Well, God, I hope not. I won one, and the conference championships. How many kids you get to go pro and all this stuff?"
Right.
He said, "You tell I got a coach on by how many kids come back to see you."
Yeah.
And that would be something I would brag about. I'm blessed. I got a lot of guys I'm still tight with, and you did all those crazy stories. That's what it's about.
Now, obviously, you're enjoying your time. You're just relaxing nowadays. Would you ever come back and coach?
Oh, Carl Lee, it's like asking me if I'd like to date Farrah Fawcett. No shot.
Would it be strictly Capital would be where you want to be again, or would you coach at another school?
I've got a warped sense about that. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Capital guy. I didn't go there. I went to East Bay.
Right.
The events that God put you through, I was placed at Capital. And you can hear by the way I talk, I'm probably not a very good interview. Being a football coach. Mr. Giles believed in me. And those kids over there, you got to do something pretty cool. And I couldn't imagine going. I would be scared to death that the kids that stopped by my house and smoke a cigar with me or drink a Dr. Pepper with me, I would be scared to death that they wouldn't come back. Let that make sense.
Right.
So I couldn't see myself doing any other place besides
Capital
High School. I think you wouldn't even know my name was Capital. I wouldn't care if it was. I don't think I'd go. Called me. I don't think I'd go.
I mean, I'm not a Steeler fan anyway, so I'm all on board about that. I know Jordan's got a couple questions. I'm gonna ask you this, and I'm gonna let him loose. But what are your kids that have inspired you? You look back and say, "I remember this moment." What's one big moment from a kid that everybody may not know? It may not be, a Kerry Martin or somebody like that, but
yeah, it's oh man, that's hard. So like I say, I used to tell those kids all the time, you go to the circus and they'll say it's cool to see the guy that get up and walk on the trapeze and
right.
do all these crazy things. I said, the thing that makes the show go is those little guys in the blue suits with that little names on it that pick up, fall down. That's what makes the circus go.
Right. Yeah.
And it's those kids. It's kids like John Carpenter, the kids that aren't the best player, but really believe in what you're doing. And oh man, there's tons of those guys. Most of it's now to see them.
Right.
Adults. Be good dad, have a good job, be successful. But I had tons of those guys. Like I said, all my memories are crazy stories. But I think that's like the D1 carrot that everybody that's out there.
Right.
That's not it. I didn't. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to think that that's how you're going. Is that how you're going to try to get a football coach in?
Right.
Because it's really unlikely that you're going to play D1 football.
Right.
So my success rate would be 2 or 3% of all the kids you coach.
Right.
That's a bad carrot to dangle.
And that's the big thing that we've talked about too, is doing what we're doing is, look, I mean, D1 athletes are great. I mean, but they're few and far between. The big thing is go to a D2 school, get your education paid for, and walk away with that diploma.
Yeah.
And that's what we tell these kids all the time. We're not looking for you to go D1 and go to the NFL or the NBA. We want you to better yourself, get that education, because football's it's all going to end.
Yeah.
And at 17, 18 years old, these kids don't like to hear that. But that's the biggest thing is go get you an education, let them pay for it, do what you love to do for another 4 years, and walk away with a degree that's going to better yourself.
It's going to change your life,
Right.
Like, obviously, I didn't.
It's not a 4-year plan; it's a 40-year plan.
Right.
Yeah, I do the math, and you're going to have to get up and go to work about 10,000 times before you retire.
Right.
Well, if you're going to pick up poop at the circus, if you love to do that, that's a good job. But if you have to do it, it's terrible.
Right.
And those first years out of high school determine what you're going to do those next 10,000 days you get up and go to work. And, Randy Moss is a good example. Randy Moss makes more money talking about football than he did playing it.
Right. Right. Right.
It'd be nice to go play pro football, but yeah, great. But what are you going to do after that?
Right. Exactly. And that's the biggest thing that we've talked about was you talked about Randy. Obviously you look at Tom Brady and his contract that he signed while he was still playing football to just become an announcer. It was just stupid amounts of money, but he loved what he was doing. And that's what we tell these kids all the time is you have to love it, because especially going from high school to college, it's a huge difference. And these kids just don't get it. It's a full-time job. Plus you're a full-time student. Like there's no breaks, there's no this or that. But what is outside of football? What is one thing that Coach Carpenter loves to do?
Oh, ride in the mountains. I tell my wife all the time, if you live in West Virginia and you don't go see the sunset from the top of the mountain, like living in Florida, like going to the beach. I ride it. I got a side by side.
Exactly.
I ride side by side all the time. I love to be in the woods.
Oh yeah,
I don't hunt. I'm too soft for all that. But I do. I love to ride something. I'm a snowboard, mountain bike, 4-wheeler.
This is something.
Side by side. I'm about it. My passion.
Jordan, go ahead and ask the questions you got lined up.
All right, Coach. So you have the best wins for Kanawha Valley sports in the last 2 decades, I would estimate, when you guys defeated Martinsburg there at Laidley for the state championship that year. Can you talk about that game just a little bit?
Yeah. There's one of my best. That's top 10 memory. I remember part of the thing about meeting Martinsburg is the mental part of it.
Right.
Watching the Philadelphia Eagles play in the 80s, those fans are going to cuss you.
Oh, yeah.
Intimidate the hell out of it. When you go play Martinsburg, they're superior, but the mental part of it,
right,
they get you. First year we go up there, that was, we were scared to death. We got on the bus at halftime. I would have come back home. They're cussing you. They sit on both sides, and it's crazy. The mental part of it is what you're not prepared for. So the second year we get ready to play them, we're playing at Laidley, and then this big guy sitting up in the stands, and we come out for warm-ups, and the Haley kid, this guy's wearing him out, funny as can be. Real early in the morning, we first come out, this guy's going, "Hey, 6, you suck." And I'm like, man, just shut up. He keeps Hulk Hogan like this.
Right.
Like, finally the guy gets personal. He goes, "That's all right." He said, "You'll be playing in the state pen next year." He says, and Haley, in case Sean Haley, he was a talker. And Haley goes, he turns to him and like he says, it was like WWF wrestling. He said, "Well, why don't you come tackle me then?" So all of Martinsburg's
right
killers come up, and my killers are there, and it's like the Wild West. They're all drawing down each other, and they all arguing it. And I'm thinking, don't back down now. Don't you let them punk you. That's part of it. And this one of their kids, it's like the volume went down perfect. And Haley goes, the kid says, "Well, that's my dad." And talking about dad, that's my dad. And Haley says, he said, "I'm your daddy today." He said, "I'm going to show you why you don't get involved in grown people's business." And they had to, and I'm sure some of my coaches were too, but and that's just part of it. But one of their coaches had said something to him, and if you go back and watch that tape, he breaks out a play on probably about 30. He's 70 yards away to touchdown. He runs 110, and it was like he gets through the line of scrimmage, and I'm thinking he's gone. and he turns and runs right to their sideline to give it to that coach.
Wow.
But that was great, and but just getting over the mental part of that. I'll tell you another one that morning. So we're there, and you're scared to death. I mean, I don't care if you're playing the Cabin Creek Colts or
right
before the game, it's awful. You're just waiting for it. So I come in, Freddie Myers, old guy, coach for me. He comes in. There's a scrum outside, and he goes, "Boy, you better get out there." He said, "They out there going." I'm out there arguing. I go, and two real good players, and one of them's like keeps turning the lights off. The other was like, "Man, I'm tired. I'm trying to get rest." And the kid said, "Well, they're getting ready to fight." It seemed like this big lineman. He says, "You touch that light switch, I'm gonna kick your." He said, "We're gonna win a state championship today. Get that light." Nobody touched it, and I smiled and I went, and I go back in there. Freddie goes, "What's going on?" And I said, "We're gonna win today." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm telling you, man." I said, "We're gonna win." I said, state is right. And I was like, that's what I miss about it. There's like, you've been on our sideline. It was a circus. It's not like
good old time.
Yeah, and I mean, but it was like, I grew up in the '80s. I liked the Miami Hurricanes. You know what I mean? And culturally, not a lot of people like to see the kids that I coach be excited and that kind of stuff. But you've been on the sideline. I mean, I go through that when you get over there and your other coaches cuss your kids and try to get them upset, try to get them fighting with each other.
Right.
So I finally got to the point where, like, don't be disrespectful to another adult, nothing like that. But damn, don't you back down when people, trash talking the game. We're gonna be good at it. I mean,
right.
But I think turning those kids loose a little bit, brought
them all together.
It did, and got I mean, it didn't do good for my reputation. I got to you get to the point where you're like, well, I'm either gonna serve these kids or am I gonna serve the public? I'm not running for governor. I mean,
right.
And I'm gonna protect these kids. So, somebody going.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at coaches and we look back at, there's been a bunch come through the valley, and I mean, you went to the board and fought for your kids.
Served me well. That's why I'm sitting here with you.
But what was?
I was just going to say, I'm glad Jeremy brought that up. I was just, going to ask you to maybe shed some light, because there's a lot of our listeners that don't really know what happened, and we really hated to see that happen, particularly with you. But just kind of talk to us about what happened there.
It upsets me a lot because everybody talks about being retired. I'm like, damn, I'm only 44 years old. I told my wife I gotta get some hair plugs. I'm a lot older than I am. Everybody thinks I'm just retired. I got needs. It's trying not to alert now. I don't need to piss people off. It's crazy.
You're not gonna make any of us, man.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but the guys that signed my paycheck. Oh, I still got these. No, it's different. I mean, my whole thing at Capitol is it's different. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you a story. So I go to Montana one time to my buddy lives in Montana, and we go out there, and I remember this lady's. We're going to go to a rodeo. This lady's talking about the Indians. And they hate them Indians. She bad mouth. So we go, and she said, well, they get the best of everything. They give them all this stuff. Everything given to them. You go out there, and their ranch is on the side of the mountain. The free housing they get, the old Air Force shacks. They don't even have underpinning on it. Cold in Montana, no winter time.
Right.
You can't farm it. You can't do anything with it. And that was kind of the situation over there. Is you're not keeping, with the Lady Field situation, you're not, I think they fixed it. I think it's not like that anymore. But, we weren't keeping the money.
Right.
We weren't, the only programs in the state, and probably the country, as far as I know, that don't keep the money they make is Capitol High School. Well, I mean, football is the cow for every sport. It don't matter if you're at the University of Texas or if you're at the Pioneers.
Right.
That was always the fight. Yeah, I run my mouth about that a lot. I think it's better.
Right. So the money then was going, I'm assuming, to UC?
No, UC doesn't own it. You're taxing.
So it was going to the county?
Yeah. Kanawha County Schools.
Gotcha.
this got hard, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you make your mind up when anybody gets in that situation. You ever watch, remember the Titans?
Mhm.
You remember that at the end of that, where the white coach is like, he knows his kids are getting cheated, but if he says anything,
He doesn't go to the Hall of Fame. Right.
That's the situation you're in. You know what I mean? You're like, oh man, if I
Right.
run your mouth now, you ain't gonna do anything. I'm like, during the middle of all that one, I remember my wife told me one day I'm getting ready to go down there and name Mr. Giles, and by that point, you know, whatever happened to him happened. Office situation. I wish somebody would do a story on that. But anyway, my wife said, you know, that's great. You know, Mr. Giles going down there, but Mr. Giles don't have no job. And then here I am. You know, but with that being said, I think it's changed. I think they always sing that song in church. You ever heard that? I wouldn't change nothing for my journey now. The good part is I get to. Oh, I'll tell you one. You know, you guys are Deion Sanders fans, I'm sure. You know who coached? You know who Bill McCartney was?
I don't know.
Oh, come on, man. Bill McCartney was. You guys are, how old are y'all?
I'm 34.
Oh, yeah, y'all don't know.
37.
When Colorado's good in the late 80s, had a guy named Bill McCartney. First coaching book I ever bought. I was a Colorado fan. I used to love him too. But he was head coach of Colorado. The quarterback, Sal Anise, he died the next year, and he's dying every week on the sideline. He's always not playing, but they're playing those 2 Orange Bowl games, and that's how everybody knows about Colorado.
Right.
They didn't win the national championship. Sal Anise was a Polynesian quarterback. He had a doubt of leukemia, I think, and some kind of cancer. But Bill McCartney's the coach. His daughter gets pregnant by that kid. 2 years later, she's pregnant by another guy. Well, then after, you guys probably remember the Hail Mary, Cordell Stewart to beat Michigan.
I do remember that.
About a year after that, he retires and quits.
Yeah.
To top his game. And he started a thing called Promise Keepers. And if you read his book, the first coaching book I ever read, and I thought, well, I'm like 22 when I buy it, and I think, man, I'm going to know what Bill McCartney knows about,
right,
running this 2 tight end, 1 back offense. I thought, and that's why I buy the book. And it was about how he wasn't a good dad to his kids. You know what I mean? I'm like, God, no. So I put it away, and I never looked at it again. I probably threw it away. I don't know, but, it kind of hurt my soul, I'm thinking. And being arrogant, and you're thinking, well, I can be a good husband and a good dad and be a coach. This guy didn't. He screwed up. And then I'm fighting all these fights over there. So now that you get to a point where the kids look at you. I told you we were talking about COVID.
Yeah.
We were the only team shut down for COVID. For 2 years there, we didn't practice in August. I mean, everybody knows my trail of tears over that fight. But, but God, I wouldn't take nothing from my journey now. All these things work together, and God put me in a place where, I was broken, depressed, that I couldn't provide. I wasn't the guy to those kids that last 2 classes I had there at Capital. So I go home, but I'd probably save my marriage. You know what I mean? I get to see my little girls. I get to be a dad, and you don't know you don't realize. I was over at Canal City one day. I remember when COVID shut us down, I dropped my little girl off to dance, and another little girl comes out, and I remember her looking for her mom, and I'm thinking, oh man, I need to be able to make sure I'm here on time. And then I thought, hit me punched in the nose. I'm thinking, you scumbag, you ain't been pick this girl up in 5 years.
Right.
I've been over there at coaching football. So with that being said, I'm grateful for it now. I didn't understand it going through it, but but I get to now. I think my wife's to the point now she wants me out of the house.
I mean, Jordan's definitely understandable in that one because his wife definitely wants him out of the house most of the time.
Yeah.
But is there a chance down the road that you'd come back and coach at Capital if the opportunity presents itself?
Oh, I mean, yeah. Be like your dad was when you go. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's no chance I'd go anyplace else. I mean, I don't. I mean, and going through all that, I think my perspective or my why, the why you do it changes, and it's not nice to win a championship. Obviously, but I get beat every week.
Right.
I don't mean to downplay that, but I mean, I think a lot of people go, but you're after a while it becomes your calling instead of your passion. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Something and I felt that way. there with those guys. And yeah, and it's just like that's your home. You know what I mean? One of the best articles they ever wrote. I never would let them write an article about me, but they did write one. You're talking about that Martinsburg game. That one hangs in my house. It's the only one that hangs in my house. They wrote an article about my wife and I about two little girls. They wrote a proud talk about it. But they wrote an article after that game about that. And I think being over there taught me that it don't matter what color God painted you. It don't matter who birthed you. You know what I mean? If you love people.
Right. Absolutely. You got anything else for him, Jordan?
No, I got everything out. Sorry about the technical issues.
Oh man, you want to talk about this transfer stuff?
I appreciate you talking to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is the part that bothers me. Is I said when you let kids go, and that's why a guy I know is I said, okay, then put that on Facebook in 4 or 5 in 15 years when your kid is when you're raising that grandkid, because you teach your kid to bail out when your kid, you ain't starting a quarterback or you ain't getting enough carries. What the heck do you think they're going to do when they're married? You know what I mean? I said, wait till that little girl quits kissing them on the neck all the time. By God, that's when life gets tough. You know what I mean? My wife don't care nothing. My wife don't care how many games we won. She cares if the trash is out. You know what I mean? I said, I remember coming home that week after you won state championship.
Exactly.
Boy, life is different now. You know what I mean? Like I'm in that Sunday. I wake up and there's a state championship trophy on my, I took it to my house that night. I didn't touch it for Tony Harris gets it on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I take it home at least. I went, at least Tony, you let me take it home. And so I take it home and I'm thinking, man, how much life different is now, And like, shoot, you know what I mean? Shoot, care about that. Take that damn trash out. And that's the things I think. That is the reason I think football is the best sport. I'm partial. My favorite sport is probably motocross.
Right.
But I think the most important, the best sport in America is football because it's the one that parallels life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when you start letting kids, when you make it okay to bail on people and to quit, you know what I mean? That's not football. I don't recognize that's terrible.
And that's the thing myself and Jordan we've talked about is when we were in high school, like I said, I went to South Charleston, he went to GW. We'd never go play for, Capital or anything like that. But I would never look at my dad and say, hey, I'm not getting the PT that I'm supposed to be getting. Let me transfer here. It had never been a question. It was always, well, you need to work harder.
Oh, yeah.
And kids nowadays, it seems like the transfer,
but it's the adults making those decisions to allow kids. That's what
correct.
Kids ought to have a choice. Well, you got a choice. Go jump off that bridge up there on the river.
Right.
But you shouldn't take it. You know what I mean? I think that's the adults, the people in the government. They need to. I mean, that's what I told Carl Lee yesterday. The problem is you're letting people that probably didn't dress for gym class make decisions over athletics. They don't understand. A lot of them probably don't understand the lessons of football. Like I said, I didn't play D1 football, but
exactly.
You would have a hard time finding. So I used to tell my kids all the time, don't let football use you. Use football.
Right.
I use football. You know what I mean? I played on a really good high school team, average player, but I got a bunch of good friends from that they'll be wearing my butt out when they hear me on this thing. That I go eat with next week. But you know what I mean? That's the things you take from football. I'm still married. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? I am loyal to my wife because of the things football taught me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. That's the part I think people miss is like if you want to go in ninth grade, okay. I agree. Like when I was in school, it didn't seem like there were the perception of so many bad coaches. I'm sure there were, but at East Bank at that time, everybody's winding up that way.
Right.
So, leaving wasn't an option. I know there's probably some instances, I used to tell kids just joking, like, well, you didn't send if you had a quarterback and you didn't send your capital to play for me, then they probably should have called CPS on you. Jokingly. But you ought to have that choice in ninth grade. But after that, man, you need, you just.
And that's the thing. You always people complaining. Well, build a program. And I said, these parents that post on Facebook and Twitter, and it's way over
say that you lose me. I used to tell my kids all the time, Facebook is for
chicken shits and pedophiles. It gives people a chance that will never say to your face to say something about you.
Right.
You know, I don't, my wife and Larry Moore coach with me. Larry Moore's like a brother, but my wife and Larry Moore will several times a year they'll come and say, "Did you see what so and so said on Facebook?" You know, I didn't. You know what I mean? Unless it's got, you know, the only way I don't have any friends on there, but I do search for.
Right.
I can't find old motorcycles. That's why I
And
found a 1985 Honda 250. Perfect. You guys don't remember the Charlie Sheen in the movie The Wraith? Well, I know you're too young. But they had this motorcycle. Some guy tells me a couple years ago, I found him the same day I sign up. I find that motorcycle and I go back.
There you
That's
go.
one reason more.
And like we were saying, was the big thing on Facebook is these parents that post about teams getting beat by 40 or 50 points. How many of these parents are actually putting the work in to help build the program or volunteering at a concession stand or doing this or doing
I had
that?
a sign that said, I used to have a sign over there that said, "Don't be upset about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't put in."
Exactly. Exactly right. And that's the thing. And I agree
Exactly.
100% with you is at 9th grade, you should have that option.
Yeah.
But when you're a sophomore and junior and you're not getting the playing time at one school, so you transfer to another, I just don't think it's right.
No, when I had that conversation, I got 2 daughters.
Right.
You can bet I'll check their Instagram when them boys show up. You want them guys to play at 3 high schools, kick rocks. You're not going to date my daughter.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think most colleges, that was always the thing. They're having those. I was blessed to be around several people play, and those, they're not going to trust you. I mean, that's hard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's hard. You know what I mean? I guess, there's some kids that are still, it's not going to disqualify if you make,
Right.
if you've already had an offer, yeah, you can go to 40 high schools, it doesn't matter. But for a marginal kid that's still trying to sell yourself,
Right.
I think it could be problematic.
And that's the thing that we promote a lot of kids and we help a lot of kids. And the big thing that we hear a lot from a lot of coaches is, why am I going to give a kid a scholarship when, number one, their GPA is a 2.3? He said there's a million other kids with the same talent, if not better, with a 3.75 or 4.0 GPA. He said, but then you got kids that are transferring to 3 and 4 schools. He said, what makes me want to offer a scholarship? And then after the first year they're here, they transfer out.
Things get tough, they're going to bail.
Yeah.
I know that the Etheridge kid we had, this guy finished playing for the Falcons. It may be his sophomore year. And the second time we played Martinsburg State. And a coach from Ohio State shows up like 9:00 on Wednesday. Wednesday's a big day during the week for football.
Right.
And Wednesday, this coach from Ohio State's there. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go meet at 9:00. He comes there and talks and talks and talks. He keeps getting like random kids coming down the hallway. He'd say, hey, Dorian Etheridge? And the kid doesn't know Dorian Etheridge, but all these people talk about it. So he says, he stays there about an hour. He gets his transcript and all that kind of stuff. He says, he asks me nothing about how much he bench presses. He doesn't ask about anything about, he wants his transcript.
Right.
He knows all he wants to know there. But he says, Coach, he said, what time y'all practice? At 4:30. He said, I'll be down. And like, my God, I said, what are you going to do until then? He said, well, what part of town is he from? I said, he's on the west side. He said, we're working 8 over there. I tell him a couple places. My God, he just got on.
Right.
He showed back up at 4:30. He said, we come out there practice. He's out there waiting on him. Ohio State stuff. Now that's intimidating,
Right.
Like, it ain't bad enough I'm playing Martinsburg. Right. And then there's Ohio State coach stand over my shoulder and I'm like, he probably thinks I'm a dumbass. And I'm thinking, oh my God, and all my kids are walking around like, and at the end of it, he ended up coming and give me a point about a tight end block or something,
Right.
Pretty cool. And I said, all right, man. I said, thanks for coming. And he stays there a long time. And he said, Coach, he said, does Dorian have a highlight tape made? And I said, man, you've been here all day and you ain't never seen him play? And he said, Coach, he said, we don't recruit. He said, we select. He said, if he's an asshole, he said, we don't want him anyway. He said, but everybody, if he checks out, he said, everybody said good things about him. He said, so we're going to take a look at him.
Wow.
And ain't a college coach I know knows anything about Twitter. You know what I mean?
Right.
And all the kids we had, Facebook, Twitter, none of that. You know what I mean? You got to go someplace and run and be seen, be moved.
Uh-huh.
Another good one was we took him to Virginia Tech. I don't know if you heard the argument. the thing about committable versus non-committable offers.
Right.
Which is another discussion process. I would never let anybody give my kid a non-committable offer.
Right.
I ain't interested in you putting that on Twitter.
Right. Right.
So I took him to Virginia Tech. The squad takes him out. All he wants to do is see how well he's hip smooth. He doesn't ask anything else. You know what I mean? But he wants to see how well he moves. He puts him through drills about 15 minutes. And he says, and he goes to the coach of the shed. He's off it. And they come over and they said, hey, well, I'm ready to come back to Charleston. I'm tired.
Right.
Man, let's go. They said, no, they want you to go. Frank Beamer, meet Frank Beamer. Whatever. We'll go up there, and Frank Beamer said, no, this is committable offer. He said, if you tell me you want to come here today, you can come no matter what.
Right.
We're gonna stick by you, loyal. I thought, man, that's pretty cool. And at the end of it, he says, Coach, thanks for bringing him down. He said, how'd you enjoy your first trip to Blacksburg? I said, I was here before. He said, when? I said, 1993. I was a senior in high school. Come to your football camp. No kid. He said, how'd you like that? I said, I hated it. He said, why's that? And I said, because you took all the guys that could play, took them and showed them around, and got to see the girls and all that. I said, you put the rest of us humdrums in the pool, gave us some pizza. he said, I said, it's funny now you need me to help you get a player, ain't it? He laughed. He said, yeah. He said, you don't think of us like
Coach, we'll ask you one question. Go ahead,
gentlemen. I gotta run. I will talk to our listeners next week. Coach Carpenter, it was nice talking to you, partner.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming out. Good luck to you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And a big thank you to our sponsor, Caldwell Insurance Agency. Give them a call if you need insurance at 681-265-3735.